GM. GM. So I've got very simple plan here. I think we go lower. I think we go back down to the order block below. So we'll talk about in a second. I'll show you exactly how I'm going to trade it. So let's just do, what should I do? Point of control all the way to here. Yeah. Makes sense. That from the lows, basically you've taken it from the false breakout, the fake news pump, because that's really when this rally started, in my opinion. Obviously we were coming slightly off the lows before that, but that's when the market really shifted and people stopped being so bearish and started thinking about bullish. And so the actual point of control from that one, if you drag it all the way up to here and then right down to the bottom of our last sell-off, which is all the price action up and the first sell-off, we have a point of control right up here at that level. So there's a key level, also matches up exactly with where we've rejected from for now. So I would say that below that level, broadly, I'm expecting BTC to make its way back down into the order block below. Very simple. Whenever we come down off the level, selling, market gathers itself, gains a bit of stable footing, and then impulses. You want to see those impulses revisited, because typically when you see impulse moves, it indicates that big players have their orders filled, but quite often they will have orders still resting there. It's a level that showed a sudden imbalance between supply and demand. So there was a lot of demand as they're trying to fill. Eventually supply ran out as people realized, why are we still selling into this? It's clearly not going down. Price pushed up, the short squeeze took over, and we kept going. We grabbed liquidity, took out that liquidity. We've had the hawkish Fed meeting, so there should be, in theory, less reason for price to just pump all the way up here in the short term. And so I think it'll get choppy and make its way eventually back down into that area where people probably start to panic. But to me, that's where the most likely next bottom's going to come from. And that's what I'll be looking at. So I'm looking at this area, if it acts as support. If we push back down into it and you see price getting absorbed, especially if you see a lot of selling into this level, that's where I'll start to step back in again and get long on top of my spot bags. What would invalidate that? I mean, to me, it's really simple. It's flipping this level. So we have to now flip this level from resistance into support for anything otherwise to be the case. Like, you'd have to push up and really turn this level from resistance into support, which would take time more than anything. So that's really the only two paths I see. I'm not saying this is how it's going to happen. Like, I'm not saying it'll take this long. It could happen today. It could take 2 weeks. Don't look at the time aspect. Just look at the areas. For long trades on Bitcoin, I want to see a reclaim of 43, 44 or move back down to 40. Everything in the middle here, to me, is just more of this noisy chop. Look where we are right now. The dashed blue line, dotted blue line is where price is now, right over here. You don't want to be trading in any of these areas. This is just pure directionless chop. These are not levels that are good to trade at. You're not at the extremes. There's the extremes. And when price goes back to areas that it's been at previously, it tends to behave in the same way. So just like we had loads of choppy noise around here, we're having loads of choppy noise around here. But when we get down to 40k, you see nice strong reactions, right? Whenever we dip below 40k, we got a really nice reaction. When we get above this level, we tend to get, clearly, some quite heavy selling above. But right now, and this is the most difficult part for traders generally, this is just a time to do nothing as a trader. If you're sitting accumulating spot, good stuff. That's what I'm doing. I've got cash on the sidelines waiting. I think if Bitcoin comes back down to 40, that's where I'll buy more spot, AKT or whatever altcoins I'm looking at. But that's basically what I'm looking at for now. So 2 plans, path A, path B, just let them work this out. It's also the first day of the month. It's the 1st of February. So again, if it wasn't bad enough to see 42k, right, as if it wasn't bad enough for that level to be already full of chop from the past. You also, if you're getting long or short here, you're getting long or short right on the open of a new monthly candle. And we know that every candle tends to have a decent move down and up. There's going to be some kind of upper and lower wick. I wouldn't be surprised to see us go all the way down and all the way up in this month and trade within that. So just to me, probabilistically, it's an absolutely terrible place to trade. So no point being in a trade at this stage. I want to look at one thing, which is Manta. And I want to compare it to Celestia. Because Manta and Celestia have been following pretty close path recently. So since launch, you can see this. They both launched and consolidated sideways. Launch, consolidated sideways. Ran up, ran up. Now what I'm looking at here is Celestia and Manta, they're both in their first sell-off. So Celestia sold off, went below the 100, 200 and the 50, and then consolidated at that level and went for another big run. If Manta's going to have a potential Ponzi staking type of setup like the same as Celestia, it might follow something similar. The reason I say this is because the projects are linked, right? So they're by the same backers, the same team. Or not the same team, but the same backers. Binance, Jump Crypto, etc. No, not Jump, sorry. Binance and Paradigm, I believe. And they both have the same kind of staking mechanism, which is what I'm looking at. Where Celestia, you get airdrop rewards for staking your Celestia. So that's like a Ponzi. In a good sense, it means people lock up their Celestia, they buy Celestia, they lock it up to try and get airdrops. So it's a lot of reducing sell pressure, makes it easier to pump the coin. Manta has the same thing. It's probably not going to be the same magnitude. I don't think Manta is going to be as big as Celestia, but people are getting their Manta, staking it, locking it up to get airdrops on whatever projects are in the Manta ecosystem. So, interesting one to keep an eye on. Overall, it's not as bullish as Celestia, as you can see. And if it starts to bleed any further, I would expect it probably to be done. I wouldn't get long here, but if you see it going sideways and reclaiming the bands over the next week or so, you might see it push to another high. Right now, it's currently just in a downtrend. So, as I said on daily levels, no longs are enticing to me at the moment. I don't think alts are in a great position for longs just in general. But if you see it go sideways for a bit, it might be worth getting long way over here, right? Way over there, not here. You have to see that kind of base form, let it go over to the right hand side, and wait for that, yeah? Because it might go down a little bit lower, chop around, whatever, but eventually it'll get to that point where it's doing something like this before it takes off. That's where you want to look at it, because of course this might not happen. This might just keep bleeding and bleeding and bleeding all the way down to zero. Yeah? Perfect. GM. See you later on the live stream.